Yo, there's something beautiful about Bearcats basketball. High flying.
Kenyon with a jam.
Shot denying.
Miles rejected.
There's just an energy that comes with the Cats. A rich history built on toughness.
And Mick Cronin looks like he wants a technical.
A bring-your-own-lunch pail mentality. For a long time, UC was the hunted.
I felt that we couldn't lose.
I think it's time the Bearcats do a little hunting of their own.
Once y'all done with them, send them to me, man. You know what I mean? We can put them on the court. Keep that Bearcat thing going.
I am fired up.
Takes it all the way. Oh! It's going to be Little.
I wonder how Steve Logan would be over in Afghanistan or somewhere. I bet he'd be pretty poised. He just does not get rattled.
Van Exel, he'll cut it loose. Watch out. Stevenson cuts it about. Oh! Kilpatrick outruns everybody. Johnson, the exclamation point.
We've been dealt the king of heartbreak over and over again.
Rozier. Smith and
Everything they worked for was undone on one play.
But I see the light. The Cats are back. Lukosius, open three, got it! Oh, baby! Welcome to the only live Bearcats postgame show on YouTube. This is Chatterbox Bearcats. What's Gucci, everyone? Welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats. Chuck Walter, Houdini with you. We stream wherever you get your audio podcasts. You can check us live on YouTube as soon as the horn sounds after the game. Sometimes about 25 seconds if Houdini has to, finish up whatever he was doing. Welcome to the show, my friend. 84-67. Cincinnati gets the win. A lot left to be desired on the floor heading into Xavier. This did nothing to right the wrongs of the Villanova game. Wes Miller once again pissed at halftime. I think they have to start canceling this segment because it's turned into very bad TV. And second half, Cats went on some spurts where you're like, all right, I could see this team being really good. 84 points in the game. But just your overall thoughts as the horn is sounded and the Bearcats improve to 7-1 on the season.
I apologize to anybody that had to watch that first half and took time out of their NFL Sunday because that was just horrific to come out, especially after how we played against Villanova. I know we're looking ahead to Xavier. That was clear in the first half. But to come out like that in the first half was terrible. Wes, as you mentioned, Kelsey was terrified to ask him a second question. She just didn't do it. She was like, all right, thanks, coach. Bye. Like, he looked like he was going to snap her mic in half. And then you're right. At the second half, they looked like they had much more energy. Wes got under them, started hitting some shots. And then I thought the cover was going to be in play. We had it to like 23, I think. And then Seamoss and Jizzle go MIA. They're not even in the closing rotation. It gets to like 14 at one point. So, I mean, I don't know. This game, what can you really take from it? Right. The silver lining is the positive news is that Dan Skillings got a game under his belt and he looked good. He looked healthy. That's what I'll take from this game.
He looked healthy, but again, for the box score watchers that are getting their morning cup of coffee, didn't do much in the game. 1 of 4 overall. Missed the only 3 he took, had 3 rebounds, 3 assists. So good numbers there, but 2 points in the game. What'd you see from Skillings that made you think that he was looking 100% healthy? Just the fact that he was out there?
Just the way he was moving. He missed a couple of shots. He didn't get – I'm trying to look at the updated minutes. They definitely had him on a minutes restriction. He didn't play a whole lot. But he was making those plays like he always does on the defensive end. He had a nice kind of a strip when they were in a behind-the-back pass on defense, transition his length. He was tipping balls. He was making plays on the offensive end. Had a sick alley-oop to Dylan Mitchell. I sent you my notes, and I said that brought tears to my eyes. And what we saw in that first half, it really made me smile. It was just the way he was moving, man. He looked fluid. He didn't look like he was injured at all, and you expect some rust. He hasn't played in a while. just to get at least one game under his belt before XU, because we're going to need him to play a significant role against Xavier.
So a couple things I want to point out, first of all, is that the Bearcats had 24 points off turnovers, 16 fast break points. When they're playing their best basketball, it's safe to say we're the Duncan Bearcats, right? Like when this team is moving, when the ball has energy, baby, the ball's got to be snapping around. That's when this team's at its best. But there's too much stagnation. There's too much. I don't know what it is about the walls of Fifth Third Arena or just a team that's wearing the black and red. I don't understand, but way too many times in our lifetime, there's just been lifeless. The ball doesn't have energy. It's not moving enough basketball. And we saw it again today. A lot of it, though, is when the substitutions come in there. So that's where I guess we're going to start the conversation today is Connor Hickman does score his 1,000th point. Golf clap there. Does grab 7 rebounds. But aside from that, 1 of 4 from the floor, 0 for 2 from three-point range. Bearcats do kind of have to find a 5th guy to start in that lineup so you can get Dan coming off the bench, because I do think that the spacing that having a shooter or someone that can keep you a little more honest than Dan Skillings would help you out there. So I'm thinking maybe you slide Hickman to the bench, and it's Day Thomas that goes in that spot. I think he showed me enough today, even though he was just 3 of 10. He was 2 of 5 from deep. The 1 rebound, 3 assists, 9 points for Day Thomas. I think that he should potentially slide in that starting spot if you're not going to go with Dan. But we could see Wes change things up pretty quickly and just put Dan right back into that starting role.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to. I don't know if I love it. I still think Skillings needs to come off the bench. Connor Hickman has just struggled flat out. He had, I think, was it Georgia Tech? He had like 14 or 16 points, something like that. Other than that, he is not offensively. Defense, he's looked good, which is great. But we need more production out of him. And the problem is, I don't care if you start Day, if you swap that out, Connor Hickman with the players that we have on this roster is going to have to be good for us, because he's going to have to play some significant minutes. We need a guy like that allegedly can shoot the ball. That hasn't really seen it much outside of a couple of games, but we really need Connor Hickman to be good. I'm worried. There's some chatter that his game doesn't translate to Big 12 play against elite competition. We will see, but just for the sake of the Bearcats, we got to root for Connor Hickman to start playing well.
We've struggled from time to time with the playing against mid-majors, seeing them dominate against us. And then, Aziz has worked out okay. Rapolis Ivanauskas, not so much. I think there were others in there as well that we played them, took them right after. I guess CJ Frederick could be considered one of those guys, although it was a completely different era when the Brandon team played him. But yeah, let's bring that up too, CJ Frederick, because I thought he was going to be a bigger part of the team than this. It's got to be something injury related, right? He was on the bench, full uniform, but I think with the way Hickman's struggling, you would probably throw CJ in there to see what he could do if he had any sort of healthy bone in his body, because otherwise, why is he coming back? That's what I want to know. At this point, he's married. He's
28. The realistic move, the easy move would be, swap in CJ Frederick for Connor Hickman. Now, CJ Frederick can't move like that after the injuries defensively. So I think that's why he's going to stick with Hickman no matter what. But at some point, if CJ Frederick is healthy,
then throw Day in there. You just shorten the rotation a little bit, and then more Josh Reed. Like, I think Josh Reed, and he gets a lot of hate, even from you, man. His game is ugly. It's an ugly style of basketball. It's the closest thing I've seen at the collegiate level to like a little Kyle Anderson, a little slow-mo action. It's just not a thing of beauty. He's like 6'8", and I've never seen him dunk. With that being said, I think he gives you good minutes to where when you shrink this rotation, you just go, a few guys off the bench at 18, 20 minutes instead of all this 10, 8, 10, 9, that sort of thing.
Who would have thought, man? Who would have thought? Josh Reed, hand up. He looks like the most consistent guy off the bench. Like, what you're going to get. He's not going to do. We say it so many times. He'll rebound. He'll make the right play. He doesn't do anything flashy, like you said. I don't think he can jump over a piece of paper, but he gets nice rebounds. He's relatively fundamental, and he's just consistent. He plays good defense. He can kind of do everything that you want as a bench guy to get some garbage minutes in when guys need rest. So, Josh Reed, I guess he's got to be a staple in the rotation. Who would have thought?
Dylan Mitchell's someone I think needs to get more PT. And you can correct me because I'm not looking at the minutes. You have the minutes in front of you, I'm assuming. I would guess his over-under today was like 28.5. It needs to get to 33.5. What'd he play?
Let's see. Dylan Mitchell's at 25 minutes.
He's got to play more than
25
25 minutes. It's as simple as that. I think he's the most important player on your team. Maybe not the best, but he changes the game. And with his ability to get better, especially if he gets confident from three, let's not forget he knocked down a couple of free throws today, and he knocked down a three. That's now 3 straight games after not hitting one his entire career at Texas that Dylan Mitchell has knocked one down from trifecta land. Goes 5 of 6 from the floor. I'd love to see more shots put up. He's lethal in transition. I mean, throws down some dunks that in big games is going to get fifth, third on their feet. And that's when Cincinnati starts winning games, is when they get those runs. We haven't got them enough over the years to pull them out at home. And that's one of the biggest aspects of this year's team with Wes Miller is they got to protect home floor, man. It's become bad. I mean, how many did they lose in the Big 12 on our home floor last year? But I think Dylan Mitchell you need to start running more sets around him. You need to start getting to the point where you at least give him the opportunity to be your dude because he's the most talented guy on the team.
I agree. Just looking at the minutes, and we say this, I feel like every show. These kids are 18 and 20. They can play damn near 40. Coach K used to do it. He'd play guys 40 minutes. We're looking at CMOS played 29, Aziz 24, Dylan Mitchell.
Let's preface, though, with the fact that it is against Howard. You do need to get the other guys run, right? The issue is we saw this in the Villanova game.
Sure, we see it, yeah. And it's one thing to lose, like you mentioned, the home court. I'll address that first. It's one thing to lose a road game at Villanova, okay? I can live with that. You got to start protecting Fifth Third Arena because we basically had no home court advantage. I think we might have played better on the road half the time last year. So we need to figure that out. But, yeah, I know it's Howard, and he wants to get other guys some minutes that'll, come into play in Big 12 play when we need some depth. But I want to see guys like CMOS, Dylan Mitchell, and Jizzle James getting closer to 30 minutes every game. I don't really think it's, arguable. Those guys need to play the lion's share of the minutes, and they're not averaging even close to that right now. CMOS is clearly the guy that gets the most minutes. He had a great game. I mean, CMOS had 18. Aziz Bandego, after the worst offensive performance in basketball history against Villanova, had 17 points. I don't know if that's his career high at UC. It's got to be close. I mean, when's the last time Aziz Bandego went for more than like 8 points?
And
then Dylan Mitchell with 14.
I'd put my chips on it being his best performance.
So we got to play our best guys more. And I'm sick and tired of seeing any lineup. I don't care if we're playing Howard or the Sisters of the Poor without CMOS Lukosius or Jizzle James on it at one time. There's got to be one of those two guys playing. They can stagger the minutes however they want, but one of those two guys has got to be in the game.
17-point win for Cincinnati. They improved to 7-1, and now the meat and potatoes of the schedule is here. I think we got about one more patsy, Grambling State, but it comes after this 2-game stretch of Xavier and then Dayton. Dayton has proved they're good. Xavier is not very good right now. In fact, they are a disappointment by all standards at this point in the season. But what they are is a Cincinnati Bearcats killer. I'm going to start off by giving you the floor of what this rivalry means to you, because that's how I want to spend the bulk of the show. For anyone that wants to talk a bunch of Howard, they got to play better. It's as simple as that. I mean, Wes couldn't even talk. He was so pissed off going into the locker room. Second half showed us some improvements for sure, but I think there's still a lot to be desired. And you got to, as Eric Lilly said, you got to start having some tangible evidence, some feel-good moments that make you feel like this program is trending in the right direction. And this is one of those games that you have to win at home, or there are going to be a lot of angry people. And you got to keep the Barbarians away from the gate. But this rivalry to you, to its core, like what is it? Because you said it upsets you more than Steelers, Bengals, more than Cardinals, Reds, more than St. X Elder.
It sure does, man. And it kind of gives you, it's almost like a high school feel. It's local. We all have good buddies. We're not buddies during that week at all when it's X week. I tell you that right now. But it's just wild. I mean, you get nervous when you wake up on Saturday. It feels like I'm like suiting up for the game. I'm you're going into battle. You're putting war paint on. You're talking shit in the group chats. You've been talking shit all year. We do it every time, and we keep losing as of late. I just keep losing. I have like 17 bets with Xavier fans right now. So that's going to be a lot of money that I lose if we do. This would be 5 straight losses if we lose this one. So
Unacceptable.
We can't.
If Providence can beat them 1 in 5 times, why can't Cincinnati? That's my take.
Well, this is what happens. Xavier, I don't care what roster they roll out there. They come to play when they play UC. It is not the other way around. We throw out duds. We've had some great teams that just can't put it together when they play the Xavier Musketeers. I can't figure it out. Wes clearly has been able to figure it out. We asked Troy Copain on the show. I said, what's going on? He goes, I have no idea. I've never done it. And he still doesn't know what we're doing. So we need these guys. Our roster is better. That doesn't mean anything in this game. It really doesn't. Xavier's got talent. I could see Fremantle. They always have one guy. I think McKnight had like 7 threes last year. He didn't hit more than 2 in like any game. They always have a couple flamethrowers that aren't even good 3-point shooters that knock down shots. Yeah, well, he's great. And that's really the silver lining is that they don't have him. They got Conwell. Conwell and Fremantle are the 2 guys. Try to keep them in check to some degree. We saw when we played a great player. They're nowhere close to Eric Dixon. But we cannot let one of those guys just absolutely destroy us. It's going to take a group effort. They're going to come to play. I know they're struggling a little bit, but I think when it's all said and done, Xavier is going to be a tournament team. This city absolutely needs a win. I need the win. I'm so sick of Xavier dominating this rivalry. We said it last year. It's like, dude, this almost feels like Miami Redhawks versus UC in football. Like, is this even a rivalry anymore? We're getting annihilated over the last, 15, 20 years. So we got to get in the right direction one time, Wes. We'll forget about that Villanova game very quickly over the next week or 2 weeks.
I'm going to get very deep with this rivalry because it's an emotional one for me. Really became a Cincinnati Bearcats fan in 1999. May have been 98, 99, but the Kenyon Martin years, those were the first teams I remember when I was 5, 6 years old. Don't remember sports before that. What was I doing? I was crushing it in the sandbox, fellas. I mean, come on now. Let's go. We had VIP in the sandbox, Houdini. But once I found out about sports, my favorite team was Cincinnati Bearcats basketball. And they were dominant in the Crosstown Shootout. They were winning 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row. Prior, it was, starting to even out a little more to where Xavier would sneak one out like they did in 96. But for the most part, I knew this rivalry is one-sided. Cincinnati's better. You're on the good side of this. You're on the look at the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry, how long it went there. It was like 17 straight years of Ohio State. So we were on the right side, right? We were the team that felt like, all right, we are going to own this rivalry for quite some time, and I'm going to have happy memories ahead. I couldn't stand Xavier. Hated them as much as I liked UC. Wanted them to lose every single game, whether they played George Washington. It didn't matter. And a lot of people are different in the city. There are some that are neutral, right? That just say, I'm a Cincy guy. Xavier's in Cincy. I think my dad's kind of that way. He's like, I'm gonna root for him if they're playing, Florida State in the tournament. Come on. I say, Dad, you're an idiot. That's not how we roll with this Bearcats team. So Bearcats start losing some as the number 1 team in the country. I had heard about that. I didn't really know it as a fan. Then we get to the point where it's, Steve Logan destroys them. They use the excuse of, David West was hurt in the game. We win at Cintas Center the first time we play there. And I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be a rivalry that we never lose at home, even though we've lost a few recently. And we just got to win a few at this Cintas Center. I go to the Cintas Center a few years later. It was Lionel Chalmers. Armin Kirkland throws it away. Or Nick Williams threw it away looking for Armin Kirkland on a back cut. Bearcats lose. We were up like 10 at halftime. It just felt like, how did we lose that game? And then Xavier goes on to rattle off an Elite 8 performance that year. And okay, it's just one season. Next year, Cincinnati gets it back at home. We're kind of back and forth. When Xavier has won these games, it was always close. The Lance Stevenson game, it goes into overtime. One of Mick Cronin's worst teams in his second year when we go into Cintas, and I think Gentry got hurt, and UC lost by like 4. It was always close. And UC had enough postseason success, and Xavier little of it enough to the point where it's like, all right, this is still Cincinnati City. Somewhere along the way, and it started with that fight when Xavier kind of clobbered us for the first time. And then maybe a few years before with Jordan Crawford when they came in the fifth, third, and beat them by like 10. It was like, okay, Xavier's starting to get on the same level as Cincinnati. Let's start winning some of these games. And you know what they did? They never won any of those games. They never went far in the tournament. Xavier on the other side has been to a trio of Elite Eight since. We got nothing left to stand on. The rivalry has flipped that quickly. And there are UC fans out there that say, oh, the 60s were great. Shut the hell up. This is a what have you done for me lately business. And the Bearcats have not taken care of business in the city. And Xavier has every right to gloat. And that's why this game means something. That's why it hurts, because there is absolutely no reason that it should have flipped like this for this long. We let little brother become big brother, and it's disgusting. And if you try to argue against it, you're part of the problem. Go out there and win the game.
No, you got to be realistic about what this has turned into. And some UC fans hate it. Yeah, that is my favorite. You guys have never been to a Final Four. It's like, dude, we love the Big O. I was literally, it was like
Van Exel was 92, but that was before I was born, right? Look at me now. I'm old. I don't have hair on the top of my head. Houdini has 0 hair on the top of his head. I mean, it's a long time ago.
And part of that, the reason I lost my hair is because we keep losing this game. Listen, there's nothing left to lose, okay, except my pride, okay? We gotta hold on to that, okay? We have to hold on to that as a program. And Wes Miller, we say this all the time. He talks the talk correctly. There's no doubt about it. He'll get you fired up. I mean, he was doing the halftime. They had a little commercial kind of talking about what the rivalry means to him. And, he's saying all the right things. You're getting kind of fired up. I'm bouncing in my couch a little bit. And at the end of the day, we got to do it on the basketball court. This is a must-win of all must-wins. Is going to be Saturday on ESPN Plus for God knows why. But it means everything. If we've won a couple here, and it was more like a 50-50 split over the last decade or so, maybe it doesn't mean as much. But with this roster, with who we thought this team was going to be, the hype coming into the season, this is a game you cannot lose. You're playing at home. Let's act like we're a top 25 team that we should be, and do the damn thing. We need it, man.
Forget just the rivalry. For your tournament hopes, man. For your tournament hopes, I mean, you're still ranked at this point. You've beaten no one. Your resume is not impressive. Villanova doesn't kill you on the road, but a loss to Xavier with how they've looked lately, it's not a great loss by any means. Then that turns Dayton into a game you really have to win. You know how Dayton fans are going to pack US Bank. That's going to be eerie. Then you start off the Big 12 slate with Arizona, Baylor, Kansas. Sure, you can get it back in a hurry. Or you can start off 1-2, and you're off Lenardi. You're off Bunker Boys. You're off his bubble. The bubble has popped before it even started. So, I mean, this is just, you got to win this freaking game. If you don't win this game,
oh yeah,
I don't know what to say anymore, man. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. I got nothing left in the tank to say to a Xavier fan. And if you have something from the 60s for me, I mean, I guess you could pull one out from 92. But at the end of the day, I mean, a generation's gone, fellas. My buddies are having kids. And they've only seen Xavier dominate this rivalry. It's been how many, 25, 30 years since UC's won back-to-back? Let's get one, and then we'll start talking two.
Right. And for the out-of-conference slate, you're right. We absolutely need to win this to even, when they go to Selection Sunday and they show the out-of-conference, and if we don't win this game, it's like, we beat Dayton. We got nothing else to show for it. And then if we lose this game, I don't feel good about Dayton either. So this could spiral pretty badly, especially with that Big 12 gauntlet we're getting into. Oh God, Chuck, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the show if we lose. I'll be honest with you. We might just have to go on mute and just live stream for 60 minutes. I'll have the white flag. I'll say, listen, you guys are right. Muskies own us. They own us. And I don't want to do that. I really don't. I can't.
I'll give you a little tease of what I had, because I showed you it was in the shopping cart, and it's currently en route being delivered tomorrow. I got a clown wig, and I got Sean Miller's face on a popsicle stick, and I'm going to go full. I'm going to be a puppeteer basically with Sean Miller, and I'm going to have a field day. And if I lose, I will be wearing that clown wig the entire show. There's no going to be higher blaring like last year during that BYU game, man. It's going to be the violin. I mean, how many times do I have to play the damn violin on this show? It's been a sad state of just Bearcats athletics since Chatterbox Bearcats has had a run of it. We just want good things. This would be, I mean, forget it. It's not even that good of a thing. It's like a quad 2 win. Can we just get a quad 2 win at home? Can we take the rivalry perspective out of it and just win a quad 2 game on our home floor? It's that simple. I'm not even going to talk trash to the Xavier fans because they don't deserve that. We're the better team. We should win the game. Then we win one next year. And we start a little streak here and flip this thing because, God, for far too long, man, it's been heartbreak. It's been despair in this rivalry game, and it should have never gotten to this point. They should have won so many games in the early to mid 2000s. You know, Stevenson, they should have won that in regulation. He should have hit that J. They should have ran a better set. They should have won the year that D. Davis knocks down the 3 late in the game when he wasn't even shooting well the entire season. Or they call a foul on you know, after Copain knocked down some free throws. I think that was the same game. But I mean, how many games can you point to where UC was just one possession worse and lost? I mean, it's 4 or 5 in this rivalry over the years. There's not the same thing the other way around. UC has not won a close game in this rivalry in God knows how long, unless you consider the one where Copain hit that deep 3 at home and they won by like 9. That was a pretty close game, and that involved some big kahunas from the Cats, and those were some good Cats teams with Mick Cronin. I mean, those were some of the best chances you had to win in this rivalry. But it's time to get back there, man. Take care of your home floor. That's simple.
Well, it's funny. It's usually so clear in these games. Within 2 minutes, everyone knows. We're like, oh, yep, they did it again. We suck again. You know, people are, the group chat's going nuts. We suck. Sean Miller's my dad. It's usually right away, you know, did UC come to play? And
every year except for the
Copain
Copain year where he hit the 3 at Fifth Third. That's
right.
The only one where you didn't know. Otherwise than that, like when Yancey started hitting all the turnarounds, you knew UC was going to have it early. Hicks and Maxiel dunking early, you knew where they were going to win that game. Like every single shootout, that's the thing that drives me nuts. It's so predictable, and you have all this internal hope leading up to it, and it takes about 90 seconds, man.
Well, we're supposed to be, you know, UC. It's kind of, we're like the grittier blue collar team, and they're the, you know, Xavier's more of the hedge fund country club folk. And you'd think we'd come out grittier and, you know, more energy and diving on loose balls, doing all the dirty work. And it doesn't seem like that happens against
them.
They out hustle us. Yeah, they just look better. They look like they're just better basketball players, even when their roster isn't better. So it's something we got to get off our back. And yeah, I don't know what to do if we can't figure this one out. What do you think the spread's going to be? Let's do a little spread guessing.
How about Cincinnati minus 5.5?
It's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, Xavier, TCU was minus 1.5, and TCU isn't as nearly as good as UC. I could see it close to 6.5, maybe a little higher. Either way, we're going to have to take it. But I'm certainly nervous, man. I don't think only playing Villanova. I think that Wes Miller is going to have to start playing games earlier against legitimate opponents, so we're not just, you know, starstruck when we see a guy like Eric Dixon. Like, I think we need to strengthen up this out of conference early.
I think we thought that for a while, especially when they don't punish you. You can lose, you know, 11 games at this point and get a 5 seed if you're playing a great out of conference schedule and just losing them all. So, you know, iron sharpens iron, baby. We've known this. Iron sharpens iron. We got No Name in the chat. Says, didn't mind the Xavier UC trash talk until Thad started paying recruits and Sean Miller kept the grift going. Also the reason he left Arizona. Don't you worry. I'm going to have that article back there that says Miller involved in the scheme, man. Involved in the bad stuff. He says the NIL era neutralized the grift in Sean's recruiting scheme. Here's the thing. Xavier's not in a great spot right now, folks. We forget this. I mean, they had the run of the Sweet 16 in Miller's first year with the leftovers of the Travis Steele era. But this is a program that had been getting to Elite Eights. They were competing in the Big East. They were really high up there towards the end of Chris Mack's tenure. I mean, hell, didn't they get up to number 2 in the country? I don't think they ever got to number 1. But they were up there, man. Like, they had a year where they got high.
Yeah, they definitely weren't 1. No chance. They were single digits, though.
Yeah, they got up there. I mean, they were good for a while, and they're not good right now. Like, they kind of stink. They're playing these games in the non-conference that in years past I kept saying, oh, Xavier's going to find a way to come back and win. That's what they do. They're clutch. They finish teams off. They get Purdue at home and they beat them. They get, Tennessee at the Cintas Center and they take them down. That's what they do. This year they've struggled with some bad teams, and quite frankly, the couple good teams they've played, they've lost and haven't looked great in the process. So that's kind of where we stand. It's just beat Xavier, and let's go on our way, man. Let's be the bigger men here. Let's act like the bigger program. Let's start arguing. Stop arguing. Let's just win the game and move on to our Big 12 conference schedule. And let's start doing this more regularly. And let's stop looking like complete deer in the headlights athletes when we play this game, because it's always a shift. And hopefully we got it out of us the last week, because against Villanova, it wasn't great. And Howard did some things that upset Cincinnati today.
Yeah, and I think people forget a little bit. I know Fanta went on that Spaces on Twitter and just went ballistic about how UC has sucked over the last 5 years and Xavier was much better. Xavier hasn't been any good either. I mean, the Travis Steele era, so the last 6 seasons, Xavier's made the postseason once. UC 0, right? They have an NIT title, and Sean Miller went to the Sweet 16 2 seasons ago. Neither of these teams have been where they want to be. Not even close. UC obviously not there. Xavier's also been bad. Both of these programs are used to being in the NCAA tournament without question every season. So this game, there's a lot on the line, man. And we're talking down the line with tournament seeding, getting into the tournament. Let's get there first. But both of these programs need this win.
Let's not give them a quality win. It's as simple as that. Let's keep taking back the city, because that's the first step of being a real contender, is starting to win your own rivalry, right? You saw it with Michigan. They start winning their own rivalry. They win a national championship a few years later. I mean, I know it's not as simple as that. There's a little more that goes into it, but that's the first step, right? Is winning, at least becoming the Duke, North Carolina, where you're splitting back and forth. But I mean, no team goes on a dominant run of conference championships or deep runs in the NCAA tournament when they're consistently losing to their in-state rival. I think that's a fact without doing any research. I'm going to proclaim that today. You win your rivalry first.
No excuses. I really don't want to start looking forward to Reds baseball. So UC Hoops needs to figure it out. We need to be good. And it starts on Saturday. And then we got Grambling, then we got Dayton, and then this thing's going to keep on going. So this would be huge, man, because I think we'll be flying high. We'll be back to thinking, hey, we're a top 15 team like we thought, but you got to win this game. You got to get the job done. And I think West can have the boys going, but coming out like they did in this first half, if we see anything like that, Xavier will be up 20 points at halftime. So we got to clean that up, figure it out, get the rotations down, maybe get some sets in there, Wes. Maybe get some Dylan Mitchell lob sets. They had a couple good ones with Seamoss coming off some down screens. He's fantastic. We need Seamoss to play a great game. Jizzle James, Dylan Mitchell, those are the 3 guys that we need, man. And hopefully Skillings can show what he did in his first game before the injury.
And hopefully the halftime interview, if Kelsey Conway's indeed out there, if Cincinnati's losing to Xavier, just scrap it. I'm telling you, just scrap it.
I love it. I love the content.
He has a look in his eyes, man. He's got a scary look in his eyes. He hates losing.
Oh, he certainly does. I mean, yeah, I would think he needs to check into like a mental, institution if they lose this game, because he wouldn't sleep probably for months if Wes Miller loses to Xavier. Either will we. So we know Wes wants it. It's about actually doing it on the basketball court. I like our chances. I really do. I like our roster. I know we've had some ups and downs. Really, the down was against Villanova, but I still have faith in this team. Just don't let Fremantle go for 50 on us and some, idiot that shoots 12% from 3 has 9 threes. We just can't have it. We don't deserve it.
My final takeaway. I don't know if you can hear the dogs barking in the background, but I'm going to give a final take with them just going absolutely nuts. Maybe it's that clown wig coming in. Oh, I could put it on live on air. The Sean Miller clown wig. I'm ready for it. But my final takeaway is don't give in to other teams' demands. They want to slow you down. They want to get you in the half-court set. Cincinnati, I mentioned it, 16 points on the break today, 52 points in the paint. You're not going to get 52 points in the paint in some of these real games. And I know you did it against Villanova because you got inside and you knocked down mid-range jump shots. But Aziz isn't scoring 17 points every game this season. So guys like Jizzle, he needs to look for a shot a little bit more. Only took 6 today. And he will, especially once they shorten some of these rotations. That's the hope. But don't let other teams slow you down. Wes has got to find out a scheme to where this team can create turnovers and they can wreak havoc. Like, that's what their strength is. They're long. They're really good in transition. Like, Skillings is good in transition. Mitchell, Jizzle James, they have options. CMOS is all right in transition. So they have options when they get out in the run. They just got to find ways to do that and not say, how are we going to be better in the half court? It's not that. It's how are we going to get out and run? Because that's when this team's going to be its best. That's my final takeaway.
100%. It starts on the defensive end too, man. If you get stops, you can get the ball in transition. If you got to take the ball under your basket, let Xavier set up. That is not where we thrive. We've seen that. Villanova, our half-court offense was atrocious. And that's without Skillings. Hopefully, everything looked good today. I know he went 1 for 4. He played 14 minutes, by the way. So not much run for Dan Skillings. Obviously, he was on a minutes restriction. If we were playing Xavier today, I bet you he plays close to 30 minutes. That wasn't the case. He's going to have another week. I'm going to say it. I'm guaranteeing
at the right time,
Chuck.
having a week off.
I'm guaranteeing a win, Chuck. Screw it. I'm guaranteeing it. UC will win. They will cover. And we're going to take the crown back in this city.
Are the rose-colored glasses coming on? Forget the clown wig. Bearcats Musketeers comes on next Saturday. The date, December 14th. The time, do you have the time for me, reporter Houdini? Who cares?
2 o'clock. 2
o'clock?
I'll be starting at 10 a.m. I'll be prepping.
I don't care if it's at 6. I don't care if it's at noon. I don't care if this thing's played at 5 o'clock in the morning. That same tenacity and energy needs to be there from the start. Get your asses to Fifth Third early. Get in your seats. Get to the Armory Bar and have a great day as the Bearcats take down the Howard Bison in a closer game than we would have liked to see. Houdini, I'll let you give him the final score on the way out.
I don't have it up, dude.
Damn it. Come on. I was trying to make it a smooth transition to the outro. That's why you don't put yourself in a pickle.
84-67. Bearcats get a W at Fifth Third Arena. Let's do it again next Saturday.
Let's do it again next Saturday. Chatterbox Bearcats, we're here for you wherever you get your audio podcasts and on YouTube. Find us with a quick Google search and join the community. See ya.